Shalom, giving all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakahakodash. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. A sincere Shalom, Labakaryam, Shah Yasha Allah. That's peace to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. It's all about the election. You know, it's becoming more and more evident every day. You know, you got to be predestined for salvation. These people don't know this. You know, they still believing in that Roman Catholic doctrine of free will. Do as thy will. Not knowing this is the Lord's movie. It's been this movie since the creation. Going all the way back to Genesis. And now we in the end of the world of the Edomites. Basically, the rulership of the Gentiles. And everybody's going crazy. Everybody's freaking out, trying to find out what's happening. What's going on with the world. Why is there so much war talk? But we're here to tell you, the Lord is about to put the end to what you believe in as the kingdom. Because people do look at Babylon, America, the great, the sleeping giant, as a kingdom. A kingdom of heaven because of the dainty things that's here. Not knowing in the scriptures, this place is described as the daughter of Babylon. Babylon the Great. Nineveh, Assyria, Egypt, Sodom. These are all code names for America in the Bible. And the Lord is about to shoot what you're looking at right now. These are the arrows that the prophet saw. The Lord is about to unleash these arrows on his place. But not before he gave everybody a choice. Which is really not a choice. Because those that are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, their seat is already solidified. But they're going to have to deal with this hour of temptation, the mark of the beast. And it's going to be pushed with fear to become a robot. They're going to make you a cyborg by putting a digital electronic electronic device in your forehead or in your power hand, whether left or right hand. And the world is going to have to deal with this, not knowing that we at the end of an age. A time is unfolded. We are in a very important time in history where the Lord is taking down a major kingdom spoken about in the scriptures, which is America. You can read that all through the scriptures. And we have to fall, but we have to rise. Also, we have to rise of the nation of Israel, the kingdom of the gods. So this is beautiful. So what you're looking at right now is redacted. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on, man. They attacked some U.S. ships over there in the Red Sea. You know, Russia just dropped their Fab bomb, the Fab 3000 on Ukraine. They got those warships down there in Cuba, 90 miles away from Florida. We're on the edge of civil war. You know, you got the looting of the BJ's, Targets. The people are going insane. They got this experimental drug in them. We in the devaluing of the dollar. Basically, it's broke. Saudi Arabia just moved out. Your food is in jeopardy. You know, what you claim to be your livelihood. And the people fail to humble themselves before who you call God, whose name is Yahweh, and his son name is Yahweh Shah. You're in deep trouble, man. Whether you want to listen to this report or not, you're in deep shit. And only the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is going to cover the elect. Because these people are about to be put to a stop. Your lifestyle that you're living, you think you're living, but you're actually dead. It's about to be put to a halt. In a major, major way. This is it. You know? You don't need a minute. The Lord can see this. This is it. We close. Akim Akwaf. We are close.
And bombers. This is not just a hollow threat, guys. The nuclear triad, by the way, is crucial for maintaining a balance of power in the world, and it's something only a few nations, including the United States, actually possess. So take a look at this map. This is really interesting. This shows what countries have nuclear triad capabilities right now.
And this is a good map, you know. I was analyzing this, man. You know, look at the numbers. Look at this. Of course, the bear, fulfilling prophecy, is at the top, Revelation 13. Look at the stockpile. Deploy. I mean, look. For you non-believers. So Russia is running this thing, man. So the bear has the edge on the whore. And look at the size of the bear. You know, Russia is a mass. It's a lot of land. It's major compared to the whore. And the distance from Russia to America is approximately, I think it was 5,000 miles from Moscow to Washington, D.C. And those bombs can go about 6,000. So it's on. The Lord is going to come through with his word.
What does this mean in practical terms? Well, it shows Russia's readiness to elevate its strategic deterrence to any perceived existential threats. And as Putin sternly noted when he was in Vietnam, this involves not just theoretical capabilities, but actual deployment of advanced systems across the world. This is why Putin's comments this week are so worrying, particularly for NATO. He told the press that Russia's nuclear forces are constantly in a state of combat readiness, bolstered by recent agreements with nations like North Korea. Now let's discuss NATO as a piece of this. So Putin's rhetoric isn't happening in a vacuum. There are specific provocations by NATO that will lead us to war. Nigel Farage this week let the cat out of the bag. The West brought war to Ukraine. It's NATO's fault that Putin invaded Ukraine. And he said this back in 2014 on the floor of Parliament.
Just to make that worse, of course, some NATO members said they too would like the Ukraine to join NATO. We directly encouraged the uprising in the Ukraine that led to the toppling of the president, Yanukovych, and that led, of course, in turn to Vladimir Putin reacting.
And for all of those that don't know, what you're looking at is prophecy in its finest way, because when you go to the book of Ezekiel 38, matter of fact, let me just get that. The Lord was going to bring that alliance back. The Soviet Union was to come back. You know, what you're looking at is the details, but the bread and butter of this thing, this is Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. You know, the Lord was going to put hooks in the jaws of Russia. This is Ezekiel 38, verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Og, right? The land of Og, that's basically Russia. The chief prince, Rasha, of Meshach and Tubal. These were some of the sons of Japheth. You know, just in case you didn't know, that land belonged to Japheth. You know, the Edomites took it over. Right? It says, and prophesy against him, and say, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Og, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws. And that's what you're looking at when you see this speech. This is, 2014. So this is not new with this whole thing with Ukraine. You know, they set it off back then. And they also took Georgia, Russia over, but when you look at the map, that whole territory, is going back to this old estate, the Soviet Union. And Ukraine, those ain't nothing but Russians in there. That's all. So they basically taking back their backyard, their territory. And that's a united front. And knowing that the Lord was going to put hooks in his jaws, turn them back to their old form, that this was going to cause a lot of friction between the West, because look at the money that America dumped into Ukraine for all these years. If you didn't know, Ukraine got some of the most prestige schools for scientists, for experiments. They got a lot of just look into it. They had a lot of things going on. They had certain parts of Ukraine looking like New York City before the bombing. A lot of immigrants, they was going over there to receive education, politics, movies. The industry was booming in Ukraine because America was building it up. So knowing that Russia was going to integrate it back into the system, that didn't sit right with what America had planned for it. But that's the Lord putting hooks, in the jaws. Once again, it's Ezekiel 38 verse 3. And say, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, Og, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy army. So what's coming out of this? The war, right? Horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklets and shields, all of them handling a sword. And the major sword is these bombs, man. And you saw the stockpile of Russia. They not playing.
The Russian bear with a stick. Don't be surprised when he reacts.
So that was.
So they know Russia is the bear. That's very spiritual. They keep calling Russia the bear, and the provocation of Russia is the stick. So they poking the bear with the stick. And in the scriptures, Russia is also known as the bear when you go into Revelation, the 13th chapter. So that's very spiritual. Almost like it.
He's warning us again that Putin doesn't bluff. Keep poking the bear, and we are going to be facing World War III.
I stood up in the European Parliament in 2014, and I said, and I quote, there will be a war in Ukraine. Why did I say that? It was obvious to me that the ever eastward expansion of NATO and the European Union was giving this man a reason to his Russian people to say they're coming for us again and to go to war.
And during his talks,
so now we know that
NATO's
the Heavenly Father was ultimately going to integrate that whole system back together, according to Ezekiel 38 that we read. That's why we follow the prophecies first. But the Lord is not done there, because they're going into NATO, and NATO will back the bear. Ultimately, they're going to turn on America. See, people don't understand this, because it looks like NATO is on the side of America, because America feeds NATO. NATO eats. NATO exists because of the whore, America. But there's a lot of division. Remember, that statue was part iron and part miry clay that you read about in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. So there's a strong division between them 10 toes, and they're gonna side with their European partners, Russia. In the end, Russia has a lot of resources, so do Ukraine. But one of the major resources was that pipeline. What's it called?